Hello, my name is Peter Richards. I'm the Artistic Director of Fluellen Theatre Company, and it's my great pleasure to be here to judge the performances for this year's Pint-sized Plays. Now, this is a job that I've had great pleasure in doing for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's always involved one of the highlights of the year as far as I'm concerned, which is coming along to Fishguard, sitting in the audience along with all the rest of you, and being able to view the plays on the stage. But this year it's all so different, isn't it? And I have to say, great round of applause to Derek Webb and his team for having the tenacity to actually go ahead and put these plays onto film, and now being shown here on YouTube for you all to judge. And that's your job. Your job is to judge the plays. I'm just going to be judging the performances. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at each play in the order in which I viewed them. I'm going to look at each play and give you a few little notes about how I felt the performances went. And then at the end, I'll give you the third, second, and of course the first, in my opinion. And I do stress that it is my opinion. If another person was doing the judging, they probably would have a completely different result, and that's the way that these things work. So I'm taking full responsibility for it being my point of view only. So, right, let's get going on the first play. And the first play is Along Any Minute, and this is a really nice piece indeed. 2 superb performances, I thought. Sarah Sheriff playing a totally bemused and flabbergasted passerby, and why shouldn't she be at the other person's total and intransigence? And I think we can all identify with the emotions that Sarah Sheriff was conveying. Kate Ashley as the other woman, the woman at the so-called bus stop, was also terrific. A wonderful poker face. Not a muscle in her face moved throughout the entire show, and that's just as it should have been, because we could read anything or nothing in that face, and it was really important. Such was the surrealistic aspect of the play that was beautifully done. I really wouldn't like to play poker with Kate Ashley. 2 really accomplished performances there, I thought. And the second play was Little Scotchy, and this was a really excellent performance, I thought, from Anna Munro. I haven't knowingly seen her perform before, but she was absolutely outstanding, I thought, in her role. Whether it was her real accent or not, I don't know. If it wasn't, it was beautifully realised, broad London accent, and she was perfect in the role. She managed to convey this tremendous duality of being fed up by being patronised all her life, with also finding it very hard to sympathise with her, and that's a very difficult tightrope to walk, and I thought she did that really well. Very good support too from Burn Smith as the man who conveyed this feeling of being genuinely concerned for her welfare. I know that the Anna Munro character was trying to believe that he had an ulterior motive for taking her to the pub and buying her a drink, but nothing in Burn Smith's performance ever betrayed the fact that it was genuine concern, and he did that really well indeed. And the third play was Crosswires, and 3 actors in this: Nick Wares, Roger Lees and Madeline Wares, and a nice double act from the boys, I thought, here. Their original banter and then going into the pub was great, and the kind of matter-of-factedness of them going into the pub, this and being faced by this remarkable horrific landlady straight out of the Addams Family was beautifully done. She was terrifying, but I know many landlords like her. But once that initial meeting had progressed, she went into being the reasonable person beautifully. And I don't know about you, but Rado's condition for the hand, it had me checking my hand to make sure I hadn't got Rado's condition, and the eyes as well. She had a really nice performance, Madeline Ware. Wares in this, again, having to change the direction of the character halfway through, but delivered her final line beautifully. A good punchline which she delivered really, really nicely. And the fourth play was Arm Wars. Come on the Beast, and a beautiful performance here by Gary Crane, who's an excellent actor, and I've enjoyed watching his performances throughout the years, and he always gives a well judged, intelligent performance, and here was no exception. This beautifully self delusional a man who brought out Gary Crane brought out his self obsession very, very well. And it looks like my sort of physical training, actually, sitting in this very comfortable sofa, just lifting up and down the weight with your arm like that. That's my sort of training. So I could really relate to Terry's efforts in this. And Tracy Crane was excellent too, as his long-suffering wife, and she gave the appearance that this is Terry every day and all day. So and of course they were a lovely partnership. I guess that they are probably related to each other, probably by marriage, because of their names, and so the chemistry was certainly there. And by the end of it, I found myself totally exhausted by Terry's efforts. And the fifth play was How Did We Do? A really nice play, this, I thought, about an end-of-life survey. Terrifying that we have to take those. And Gary Crane was in this again, another side of Gary Crane, and going well into the lovely Flights of Fancy as number 347. And a wonderfully matter-of-fact performance here from Jackie Williams, I thought, who is fabulously bureaucratic. This wonderful line, this is purgatory. Is this purgatory? No, this is admin, which was beautifully done, which really showed the bureaucracy of the play. Very, very witty script, I thought this, but it only works if it has absolutely deadpan delivery from the two actors, and it certainly had that. Obviously, it's a totally surrealistic situation, but they both performed it in this beautiful, matter-of-fact, deadpan way. Excellent performances from both of them here, I thought. And the sixth play was Dinner and Destiny. Amelia Leese and Roger Leese here, and I guess that they're a real couple, in which case the chemistry between them is almost a given. But they were totally believable as a first date couple. A clever play, wasn't it? The way that it charted an entire lifespan of these two people, from their very first date to their final divorce, all over the course of one meal. Really nice. And I don't know whether this was a directorial embellishment, but it was very interesting that behind Amelia Leese was a door which had a sign on it which said "push bar to open." Whether this was intended as a very subliminal message on your first date, but it was beautifully performed. I thought they covered the differences between the flirting first date right through to the very sour divorce at the end beautifully. Our lives are hopeless, somebody says at one stage, and that was beautifully conveyed. And the seventh play is the next Ivan Sharansky. This is a really good play. I found myself laughing out loud many times in this play. Nick Wares and Carol McIntosh, really good American accents from both of them, very believable. And Nick Wares was a real top-class comedy act in this, I thought. And I don't know about you, but I found his delivery was very reminiscent of Oliver Hardy, the great Oliver Hardy, so that's not a bad comparison, Nick Wares. I thought that was really nice. A very funny script, but beautifully beautifully timed by both the actors. And they did very, very well too because of social distancing. They had a big table between them, and yet there was an intimacy between them, which is really nice, even allowing for the big table. Some lovely lines in this. You're one of the slowest moving people I know. Your body moves like a statue was really nice. But the one that really stuck with me is we're in show business. All we do is gossip and judge people. Really, really good performances, and I've seen Ivan Sharansky many times in the movies without realising it. And thank you for this play for explaining to me who he was. And the eighth play was Dating with Dostoevsky, a really nice three-hander, and a really difficult one to do because, of course, there is a third character, really nicely played by Tom Wares, who is only evident to one of the other characters. So you've got a three-way conversation, which is, well, it's a two-way conversation, really, but with three characters, and that's really, really difficult to portray, that you're talking to one person while talking to another person almost at the same time. Beautifully done. Sophie Edgley, was really believable as Jessie, the character who gets off on Russian literature, and as indeed was Adam Edgley as Ollie. I don't have to dump you, Chris, you're dead was a lovely line and beautifully delivered. But assured performances from everybody. Tom Wares, good, chirpy character, and Sophie Edgley really showed her strengths there as an actor by holding these two conversations at the same time, which was really, really well done, I felt. And the ninth play was My Hero, a two-hander here from Gene Smith and Byrne Smith. Great comic turns from both of them, and particularly from him as a most unlikely superhero. Sorry, Byrne, don't take that personally. It was a lovely take on the private life of superheroes. He looked every inch the superhero, and she was wearing a very attractive superhero costume indeed. And their delivery of the dialogue depended very much on the matter-of-factness, the everyday delivery. This was, two superheroes at home, two superheroes talking to each other in a very mundane way, and it was very, very well done. Where are the kids, by the way? Well, they've grown up. What about the dog? Do we still have a dog? Beautifully done. And it's horrible, isn't it, at the end to see a superhero cry. Beautifully done by Byrne Smith and Gene Smith. Excellent performances, both. And the final play, number 10, is Love in Lockdown. What a nice piece this was, and beautifully performed, I thought, by Maya Donnelly and Roger Lees. Roger Lees we've seen a few times today, and indeed in previous years, usually and always in a comic role. This wasn't overtly a comic role. In fact, it was a very, very sympathetic character indeed. Indeed, I would say that I've admired Roger Lees's work over the time, but this is quite one of the best things I've seen him do. Beautifully sensitive, beautifully judged. And indeed, as it was by Maya Donnelly. Both of them did extremely well, because it's really difficult, isn't it? The two roles were presumably filmed separately. It's a telephone conversation, you'll remember, and telephone conversation in two different parts of the world. But on stage, it would have been easier because they could hear each other's responses from the actor itself. Filming was completely different, and an ideal performance, really, in socially distanced times. They succeeded excellently in, and you really, really believed they were having an intimate telephone conversation. And I thought it captured beautifully, particularly from Roger Lees, the ennui and the boredom of lockdown. I'm locked away, says a character at one stage. You mean locked down? And he says, is there a difference? And I think that must be the line of the year, mustn't it? So here we are. That's my notes. This is my judgment. And as I said at the beginning, this is purely my judgment. And I had greatest respect for anybody who had a completely different set of third, second and first. So, as I've given away, we'll do it in time-honoured fashion of third first, second second and first last. So in third place, I'm giving it to Sophie Edgley, Tom Wares and Adam Edgley for Dating with Dostoevsky. Second place, I award to Roger Leese and Maya Donnelly for Love in Lockdown. And so the winner of the Performance Award for this year's Pint-sized Plays goes to Nick Wares and Carol McIntosh for The Next Ivan Sharansky. So it just remains for me to say thank you for inviting me to judge again the performances for this year's Pint-sized Plays. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And let's hope that if I'm invited to do it again next year, then we meet up again in the Theatre Gwaun and do theatre as it's supposed to be done, with an audience and with actors on a stage. Thank you for allowing me to do the judging this year. Goodbye.